If you're watching this video, then you're probably interested in looking for a new carry-on roller to take with you on all of your travel adventures. Well, look no further, because today we're going to be talking about the Beis carry-on roller, the one that we've been using as our primary luggage for the last 2 years on tons of travel adventures.
Yep, so stick around. We're going to discuss the pros and cons of our Beis carry-on roller and see if it's the right choice for you.
Hi, we're Joel and Michelle, and we're the Wandering Hartz, and we're helping you live a more abundant life by traveling slowly. We've actually been traveling since 2019 across both the US, Europe, and soon Southeast Asia.
Yeah, so today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of the Beis carry-on roller. And we each have a Beis 21-inch carry-on roller that we've been traveling with now for the last 2 years. And we've really put our carry-on bags kind of through a lot. We've traveled over 29,000 miles across the United States and also Europe.
Now, we actually use our Beis suitcases as our primary luggage, and we won't go into the reasons why, but we did have a video that you can check out if you want to understand why that is. But of course, you're probably not going to be using it that way. Most likely, you're going to be using this as an actual carry-on for short trips like vacations or what have you, and actually putting it on board rather than checking it like we've been doing.
Overall, we've really liked our carry-on rollers and they've held up extremely well, but that doesn't mean that there's some things that we don't like about them. So we just want to make you aware of some of the pros and cons, especially if you're planning on spending around $200 or more on a suitcase.
So a real quick disclosure before we get into this, and that's simply the fact is this video is not sponsored. We've paid for our suitcases all on our own with our own money. However, we have tried to become affiliates with both Beis and Revolve, which is who we purchase these from. But so far, we haven't been accepted. So if anybody's watching this from Beis or Revolve, or if you know anybody, we are definitely open to sponsorships, as we really do love these things. So definitely reach out, or if you want to maybe give our viewers a little coupon code or something like that, a little discount, we would be open to that as well.
Before we get into our pros and cons, we'd love to have you sign up for our newsletter. It's full of slow travel, living abroad, and travel tips that might pique your interest. We send out our newsletter once a week, and we promise it's worth it. All right, so let's get back into it.
So first, let's talk about the dimensions of the Beis carry-on roller. We've gotten quite a few questions about this on our other videos that we've done about this same suitcase. First, the height, right? It's a 21-inch roller. So what does that actually mean? If we look from externally, from the very top of the handle to the bottom of the wheel down here, we're actually looking at 22.83 inches or 58 centimeters. Now, when we look at the actual depth itself, you're looking at 9.84 inches or basically about 25 centimeters. And the nice thing is that this actually expands. And so when it expanded, it adds over 2 more inches. So you end up actually getting 12 inches total, which is just a little over 30 centimeters. Now, when we look at the width, that is actually going to be 15.75 inches, and that's going to be from the very edge of this handle to the flush portion over here, which is 39 centimeters. Now, when we talk internally, again, you actually get a full 21 inches of internal space, which is really cool, which is 53 centimeters. And again, for that width, you're looking at 14.53 inches or 37 centimeters of actual usable space inside there. And as far as the depth, again, you actually get pretty much the entire full depth. It's still coming in at like 9.84 inches to 12 inches. So, I mean, because you're really looking at just the plastic. So quite a lot of room in there. Next, let's go into some of the cons first. There's not a ton, so I thought we'd start with those. First up is the fact that, again, it's 21 inches. We just talked about those dimensions. So it's going to be considered oversized on quite a few flights, especially international flights. For most of your domestic things, like within the US or Canada, like Southwest Airlines, stuff like that, this actually fits totally within their dimensions and you can take it with you. But if you're doing like what we're doing, which is a lot more international travel, then you're not going to be able to take this on most aircraft, at least on board. You of course can check it, which is what we always do. But if that's something that's going to be a concern for you, then definitely check ahead of time. All right, next we want to talk about expanded. So this kind of goes along with the same thing, but when it is expanded out, again, you're not going to be able to take it on board. It's already pushing the limitations as it is. So once you expand it, it's just going to be even bigger. So it's not going to fit in those carry-on, sizing doodads that they have. So I wouldn't even try bothering doing that. You're definitely, again, want to check it in that case. Also, it's 8.36 pounds empty. So again, that's kind of a lot of weight, especially if you're doing like a long haul flight or a very long trip where you have to pack a lot of stuff, because then it eats into your weight allowance in the in cabin. In that case, you might be better off with a soft-sided suitcase because they're going to be a little bit less weight. But again, it's really durable, and that's where that weight comes from.
A couple more cons is, so the handle here, this actually fits inside the suitcase, and it does kind of take up some space, which is pretty normal for most suitcases. So you just kind of have to work around that and kind of stuff your clothes kind of inside there. So it does take up a little bit of space. And then another one is this retractable bag handle strap. We actually don't use it at all. And on Joel's suitcase, it got caught on something and it completely tore off. So I would say probably don't even really need this piece. And it does take up a little bit of room inside the suitcase as well. And then concerning the TSA lock, so as you can see, they just kind of pop out here, but mine actually got bent somehow during a flight, and Joel was able to bend it back with some needle nose pliers. But yeah, we were a little worried that it might bend back, but it actually didn't. So it's survived so far through a whole bunch of plane rides and taxi rides and bus rides. So as of right now, we're okay.
So now we're going to talk about the pros. First of which is the fact that we have already mentioned it's expandable. This is the zipper for the expander, and the zipper pull is actually quite large, super easy to zip. In addition to that, we have this material here, and this is kind of like a water-resistant material, and it's actually done really well for us. We've actually seen our luggage just sitting out, fully expanded in the rain, like in Dublin, I think it was, Dublin Airport, and just pouring rain on it, and we kept thinking, oh my gosh, everything's going to be wet inside. And we opened everything up, and this was only slightly damp on the inside, so it did a really good job. I don't think they claim that it's waterproof, but I'll say that it's pretty darn water resistant for the most part. In addition to that, when you expand this thing, goes from 49 to 61 liters of space, which is another 12 liters of internal space. And that ends up being quite a bit of extra space, as you can see there. Also, another nice thing is these zippers here. As you can see right here, it's like waterproof zippers, or very water resistant, and they're also very, very firm and snug, which is good too. So another really good feature is this shell is actually very durable. As you can see, looking on here, there's quite a few scuff marks and everything, and that's because, like we said, they've taken this thing quite a ways. But there's no dents, which is the important thing, right? We've got no dents in here, which is something that we didn't have with our old Samsonite luggage. Those pieces got dented quite a bit, and we're able to get the dents all the way out. This has been fantastic, so really like that. Also, something that I wouldn't think would be a feature that I liked, but not only does this thing come all the way up the trolley handle and it locks in place really good, but the best part is it's got this little foam cushion thing here on the bottom, and which actually ends up being super comfortable with your hand when you're pulling the suitcase across uneven ground, or even just for long distances, like in the airport from like one terminal to the next or whatever. This little bit of cushion right here makes a huge difference. As you can see here, all of the handles are really low fitting or nice and flush. In fact, this one actually kind of expands up, which is really cool. And then our main handle here too is, again, also very low and flush. And when you pull on it, it also expands out a little bit. But the really nice feature here is that it has this weight indicator. So when you pull on it really hard, a little red mark comes out, and that shows you when you're basically hitting the capacity of the suitcase, which I believe is either 45 pounds or 50 pounds. I'll put the correct number on the screen. So let's go in and talk about the next thing, which is the TSA locks. Now, Michelle mentioned the one little thing we had with those, but the fact that it has TSA locks are actually really cool, makes it super convenient. As you can see, they just snap right in there, and you can change your lock, and it's not going anywhere. And then once you set it back, they just pop out real easy. This has been really cool. It's also easy to change. You can easily set the combination to whatever you want as well. And then finally, let's talk about these wheels. These are, I can't remember the fancy name for them, but they're 360-degree rolling wheels. They do a really good job. I've been really surprised by it. You can see it looks like it's loose, but that's actually how it's supposed to be. And what we've discovered is that when you pull it across like uneven surfaces, like just that little bit of wiggle that's built into the wheelbase here actually kind of makes it a lot smoother, which is really cool. The wheels are nice and big. We haven't had any trouble on anything. The only thing we've had maybe a little bit of trouble on is like a real thick surface, like maybe a thick carpet or something. But other than that, everything's been fantastic. And we haven't gotten a lot of stuff like jammed in there. Like we have like rocks and things like that. I know some of our old suitcases where they had the wheels were kind of built into the bottom of the suitcase. Like those would always get like jammed up with rocks and things, and then they wouldn't roll anymore. And so haven't had any trouble with that, especially as much as we've pulled these things around all over the place.
All right, so a couple more pros for this, for the interior, is the kind of clamshell opening or butterfly opening is what you want to call it. It's just nice that it lays flat and you can pack it pretty easy. And then also the U-zip, it keeps kind of everything compartmentalized from actually kind of going into this side. So that's nice to have. And then there's also 2 bags that come with Beis. This one we use for shoes, and then they also give you a bigger one that we use for laundry. So these always come in handy when we're traveling. And then on this side is actually waterproof. So you can actually put like a swimsuit or any kind of damp clothing in here, and it won't affect like anything else that's in this side, like if you've got clothes or something else. So that's actually a really nice feature. So over here, we've got the compression straps, and you can just tighten them down. They're super easy to use, and they just pop apart. I like to use them, especially if I have this like kind of stuffed full. It helps me keep this kind of compressed so I can actually get this closed. And then this is actually really nice too. This is just kind of a compression flap, and it actually can detach. There's just a little button here. There's a mesh inside, so you can put something in there. And then I actually have 2 coats that fit in here. So that's nice for me to have. And then also too, there is a really good limited lifetime warranty, which we'll get into a little bit later. There's also 10 different colors now at the time of recording. And I think the newest one they just added is pink. And then probably one of the best things about the Beis is it's actually $100 cheaper than any other competition. So like your Away or Amano suitcases, it's quite a bit less. So that's a big pro for us.
So now a few of our favorite features, and that would, for me, is the fact that this thing is expandable. This expansion is huge for me. It's worked out really well for us because it means when we're doing maybe like kind of ground transport, we don't have to like pack our bags absolutely perfectly like we do when we're flying. We can actually kind of throw things in there a little bit looser, just expand this out, and it's no problem, traveling by bus or train or anything like that. Now, if you're doing fast travel, it can also be really useful for you. If you go like on vacation or something like that, maybe you buy a bunch of souvenirs or some extra clothes or something, then you can just expand this. You can throw everything in there. Now, you will have to probably check your bag in that case, but it could save you from having to buy another bag completely. So that's a nice feature we like. And also, Michelle's favorite feature was that compression flap that we talked about earlier. Let's take a look at that. So she loves this, and the biggest thing about it is the fact that, as you can see, it expands quite a bit, and which has allowed her to get her jackets in there too. So it's not just like a real thin, like on this side where it's just that one zip. It does give you a lot of extra room options too. Now, as good as the Beis carry-on roller is, in our opinion, there are a couple improvements that we think they could make. The first one, and we kind of mentioned this already, is this retractable bag strap. This thing really, I really don't like it. The fact that it can break off, and the fact that it really doesn't, from what our experience, doesn't really hold as much weight as it's supposed to. It says 15 pounds, but it's just kind of awkward. It has to be like a purse or something, and if it just gets bumped a little bit, it can pop off. So in our opinion, just remove it completely. Also, it gives you back some of that space inside. Another thing would be with this TSA lock here, in order to prevent these from getting bent like ours did, I would suggest if they put some kind of like a little raised guard or something, either on either side here, or either side of the locking mechanism here. And that way it would have less chance of it getting caught and bending, because I'm just afraid that those are going to break. So now let's talk about that Beis limited warranty that Michelle mentioned earlier. You can actually read the entire warranty and what all it has on Beis's website, but I'm just going to do like a real quick short version of it. So essentially what that limited warranty offers is protection against any cracks in your shell or breaks. Also, it's going to help you with the wheels as well, like the wheels, the handles, or any of those things if they were to break off or otherwise become like no longer usable. Additionally, the zippers too, the same thing. If they break or you can't open or close them anymore, it covers that as well. And of course, finally, any like tears in the fabric, both this expanded fabric area here and the interior fabric, as long as it isn't outside of considered, wear and tear, I guess. Now, if you do have a warranty issue, we've actually in our 1-year review video, we talk about all the steps you need to do in order to file a claim for that. So I recommend you just go check that out so I don't have to rehash it here.
So should you get a Beis carry-on roller? Well, in our opinion, we actually really like our carry-on rollers, and we think the pros outweigh the cons. It's actually a really great price point too for a bag that's lasted us 2 years and hopefully a little bit longer than that too.
Now, overall, we think these are really well built. They also fit a really, I think, a needed size gap, which is that 21-inch sizing, which only a couple other suitcases are currently like filling. Again, it makes it really good for domestic flights, especially like maybe US and Canada, because you can easily fit it on almost all of those airlines. Now, however, if you are planning on doing more international travel and expecting to use this as a carry-on, we'll just caution you a little bit. It's not going to fit most of the international flights, or the carriers rather. So you want to definitely check that ahead of time. Having said that, though, we actually have seen a handful of Beis and Aways suitcases, these 21-inch size suitcases, on some of our international flights, although they have usually been like mostly empty flights. So that might be why. So your luck might vary depending on how that goes.
If you have Beis luggage, let us know in the comments what your experience has been, or if you have any questions for us, let us know, then we'll try and answer them for you. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to give us a like and subscribe. And if you're interested in learning more about living an abundant life by traveling or slow travel, we invite you to check out our sister site, which is nomadicabundance.com. Happy wandering!
Happy wandering!